Mark 11 piece of equipment, and then Special Reserve, and then you can choose between your Mako and Omega ground sets. The Omega ground set is more tactical, less defensive, and the Mako is more defensive.
Ooh, a ground one.
It wasn't intended, but here it is. We'll do space next.
Okay, let me switch to my weapon stuff.
I think I'll put some armor on.
Put some clothes on, Sarah.
It's kind of cold on this ship. Okay, so Jupiter Force has had a party on their starbase to show off the season at Tier 4, which is pretty cool. And this is the party on the instance inside the base. There might be a few people outside still, not sure. Sure, they're making their way inside, and this is what we're looking at now. So we'll see people a little later. Hello, welcome to episode 19 of Trek. I'm going to read the patch notes today. I didn't get much running. This week has been a busy week for me, but I did want to still put out a video. First of all, it says here in the patch notes that the traffic queues have been re-enabled as of tomorrow, or actually it's this morning now, because it is 12:33 here where I live in the central United States. So it is now about, well, I'd say it's 9 hours away from the update, being that they're 2 hours behind me on the West Coast. So if they plan on going from 7 to 9 in the morning Pacific time, then that will be between 9 and 10 my time. But as of the time that the server comes back up tomorrow, private queues should be re-enabled. The updated the level range of PvE private queue maps, meaning a PvE. If you're in there and you want to invite the PvE, where the maps are level adjustable, it has to be within 2 of the queues created. So if I'm a level 50 and I create it, you can join up to level 52. Or from level 48. Rewards for the Undying Front mission assimilated have been updated to replace the Universal Console. The assimilated module has been relocated to Tier 1 of the Omega requisition system. The cutting beam rewarded by the reputation system is no longer firing from the center of the player's ship. The 29th century uniforms, the Wells for the Fed, and the Korak for KDF have been released to the Lobby store for 200 Lobies apiece. It seems like the Ferengis are running that store, doesn't it? They've updated the audio and FX for species M1130. That's the Salt Vampires on Mindtrap. Added audio to the EV suit Tholian attacks. Updates for the Azura Nebula, so 2 rescue ships will no longer spawn in the same location. Updated the visual appearance of all of the Breen ships, which probably hints at the Breens being the next present ship that you get from, was it the Red Present and possibly the Blue Present in the winter event, like last year when we saw the first lockbox, although they were gifts from Q that you could open. I don't remember, I don't think you had to have a key to open ones from Q. You just had to click on it, say use, or double click on it, and it would say something about the holographic package eats itself, or wrapping eats itself, and inside the present is, and you got something. Last year was a bunch of candles, sleigh bells, junk like that. And the ship that got updated just before it went into the lockbox last year was the bug ship. The NPC bug ship got updated with the materials and stuff, and all of the hook-ins to make it a playable ship for a captain who was lucky enough to receive one, or lucky enough to have enough creds to buy one out of the exchange. So I think anytime we see updated the visual appearance of all of the particular group's ships here, the name of a particular group and then the ships, and that's what's one of those ships, or maybe even multiple of those ships, will be in a lockbox, or will be the winter giveaway ship, depending on when it is updated. If it's updated just before the winter event, I'd say that's going to be, one of them's going to be the winter ship, and maybe the next lockbox will include all of them, or the rest of them except for that particular one ship. Like, for the Breen, it would probably be the, what is that? What the hell are the Breen called? Their one cruisers. I forget what they call them. I want to say horse shell, but that doesn't sound right. Yeah, you'll probably get the smallest Breen ship that's not a shuttle in the winter event, and then if they put the Breen stuff in a lockbox later on down the road, more than likely that one won't be available that way, but the rest of the ships will, including the Sarth and stuff like that, in the lockbox, or even the Lobby store. The new Romulus updates are the timer for the eco tagging should reliably start after you tag the first eco. Updated the visual appearances of the trees and rocks on new Romulus. I'm assuming that's to make them look better. Exiting the mountain pass will no longer cause the player to be laying down upon spawning. Updated the voiceover audio for the new Romulus content. Staging area event mission updated to increase bug population and make it easier to complete. Added audio to new Romulus interacts. So if more people you're going to interact with are going to say, Jolan True, or Admiral, thank you. Or, it might not name you by name with the voice code, but it may voice, oh, thank you, we've been needing help from our Federation friends. Something like that. I'm not going to say I know exactly what they're going to say, but you're going to have more voiceover, it sounds like. Maybe some more background noises, something like that. The Tholian Red Alert, they have moved the spawning location back away from the Tholian encounters so that there is less of a chance that the players will get spawn camped, or, load ganked, as I've heard it called, by the Tholian Dreadnoughts. It's still possible, but hopefully less likely. When on the logs tab of the journal, the tabs should no longer shake back and forth. I hope they fix that for everywhere that was happening and not just in the journal. Hopefully. Gorn Minefield Daily mission can be completed once again, so you can go back to getting your daily dilithium or fleet marks from that particular mission, whatever it gives. I haven't played it, so I don't know. Updated SDS to add additional rewards, so you can now have the chance for it to drop additional mega marks, board neural processors, or level appropriate gear again. So it won't just be for board marks and neural processors. You'll now have little baggies to pick up again. They resolved an issue that prevented several missions from completing. Updated new Romulus Mountain Pass. Defeat Tau Shiar agents mission now completes correctly. The Tau Duo radiation scan daily is now correctly being offered from the radiation radiophysicist in the staging area of New Romulus after scanning radiation 10 times. So if you go ahead and you scan the radiation 10 times, I would guess it would be that pod that you scan, and you scan it 10 times, and then he says, oh, hey, you're good at this, why don't you scan this radiation over here, or this radiation from up in orbit. And then as far as fleets go, a fleet update is added 4 new fleet ships to the fleet ship vendors, 2 for the Feds and 2 for KDF. All these ships are for level 50, which would be VA or Lieutenant, Vice Admiral, Lieutenant General, VA, LG. Characters, Fleet Assault Cruiser, cost of 20,000 fleet credits, 4 fleet ship modules and 1 military acquisition. Only 1 fleet ship module if you have purchased the Sovereign refit. So yes, this is going to be a Fleet Sovereign, which requires a Shipyard Tier 5. So it's Tier 5 reward. Fleet Advanced Heavy Cruiser retrofit. This is again the fleet version of the Sea Storm Heavy Cruiser retrofit. It's 20,000 fleet credits again, 5 fleet modules, and 1 military requisition. 1 fleet ship module if you have purchased an Excelsior. Required Shipyard Tier 3. So you can get at Shipyard Tier 3, once you've updated your Shipyard to Tier 3, you can get, as long as you're properly provisioned, a fleet heavy cruiser retrofit, a fleet Excelsior. And the Excelsiors now, starting tomorrow. In order to get this though, you do have to dismiss it and reclaim it again from the store. But you will get a updated Transwarp list that will include Tau Dua sector. So you'll be dropped off somewhere in Tau Dua with the new Transwarp power for the Tier 5 Tier 5 Excelsior, and only the Tier 5 Excelsior, and only if you haven't already claimed it and claim it, or if you reclaim it after dismissing it. The Fleet Rail Bird of Prey. Same thing, 20,000 fleet credits, 5 fleet modules, and military requisition. 1 fleet module if you have purchased the BRL refit, requires Shipyard Tier 5. The Varanus Fleet Support Vessel, which is now renamed the Varanus Fleet Support Vessel. Cost of 20,000 FC, plus 4 fleet modules, plus 1 military requisition. 1 fleet module if you have purchased a Varanus. Requires Shipyard Tier 3. The buttons to interact with consoles in the KDF embassy are now more informative. They no longer just say interact. They no longer just say interact. Fleet buff stores now use the proper provisions. Foundry added the wells Mobius, Aeon, Tren, Korath, and Rosenko to the Foundry. There should all be selectable as costumes along with their interchangeable. So when you go to make it an NPC, you can, or a costume to be put on an NPC. Whether that NPC is interactable or just a friend in there that's helping you fight, or somebody you have to rescue. So you make it like you would if you were to make a particular ship's costume for an NPC contact. Let's see. NPCs should no longer despawn when the player is not nearby. Using a duplicate map should no longer create imperfect duplicates. Previously there were sometimes too many spawn points or too many of other icons. New Ramos has been added to the Foundry for hookup as a cryptic map. Authors can place, interact, and talk to contact objectives on New Ramos. New Ramos has several doors to hook up content to in the leave from menu for map transfers. It's not possible to set patrol paths for NPCs and Foundry missions. Now, you won't notice this while play testing after putting in the patrol, but it should work right after it's published. And you'll play it through after it's published. If it's not, go back and keep tinkering with it till it works. Reputation. Various text and formatting errors with descriptions on regular reputation projects. Reputation XP projects now reward a small amount of dilithium upon completion. 340 for the 2000 XP projects, 140 for the 800 XP projects. The addition of this reward means that players must now click the claim reward button when the project timer is complete. Reputation projects. All tier up projects have had their durations reduced from 1 hour to 15 minutes, and they have had their dilithium costs completely removed. Significantly lowered the cost of the items in the Omega Reputation consumable store. Remove tier requirements from the Omega conversion crates. These can now be opened without restriction. Remove the requirements on marked dilithium conversion projects. These can now be slotted immediately upon reaching level 50 and unlocking the reputation system. Reduce duration on Tier 3, Tier 5 Reputation XP projects from 40 hours to 20 hours. So Tier 3, Tier 4, so start from Tier 1, clear up to Tier 5. You are now 20 hours from the beginning of the reputation system all the way through. Whether that will change later or not, we will see. Vesta ships now get a recharge reduction on launching hangar pets from auxiliary power, added transport to Taldua sector block to the T5 Excelsior retrofit, which I just told you about when I told you about the fleet Tier 5 or Tier 3 Excelsior. And again, in order to get this transport, the ship must be dismissed and reclaimed from the sea store. The Taldua sector block is now been added to the dilithium store transport consumable, so even if alternatively you just decide you'd rather spend your dilithium on buying the transport consumables, so it's up to you, either drop it or put it back up. Okay, so the normal Varanus fleet support vessel is now going to be known as the Varanus support vessel. Your fleet version for the Klingons will be known as the Varanus fleet, or the fleet Varanus support vessel. The Omega torpedo launcher can no longer fire multiple high-yield torpedoes in quick succession, so you'll get, like it's supposed to, like the rest of the torpedoes. You can set it that way once every 30 seconds or 35 seconds, whatever the cooldown is, the global cooldown versus the local cooldown. There was a description error in Elite Scorpion fighter carrier pets. That's been fixed. Variable geometry detonators consoles will now properly increase mine damage. The kinetic cutting beam is no longer incorrectly referred to as a turret. Updated the description for Romulan plasma weapons. Romulan plasma high density beam rifles now correctly display plasma in their names. Fleet Romulan bird of prey reinforcements no longer say they summon Starfleet cruisers. Romulan and Reman security team items now list their duration in the item description. Romulan and Romulan security teams will no longer beam out early if they do not engage in combat. Hyperonic radiation now has cleaner tooltips and functions more reliable. Reduced Vesta quantum field focus phaser bonus from particle generators. Quantum field focus phasers now receive the same total level bonus from particle generators as all weapons received from weapons training and energy weapons training skill, including comparable alliance weapons. Slightly increased base damage of quantum field focus phaser. Vesta quantum field focus phaser and ox cannon can no longer be brought down when weapons go offline. These weapons will still go down when auxiliary goes offline. All Gorn ship descriptions in the ship store now accurately display plus 15 auxiliary power in the ship store. Previously they displayed only 10. This is a text change only. The Tier 5 VREL and Fleet Tier 5 VREL default weapons are now marked 10 instead of 8. Known issue: private queues. Launched private queues will show a second version of the same queue in the join existing tab. The correct one to queue for will be the one displaying a number of players versus the map limit, such as 4 out of 5. The small private game window may appear inside of launched private maps and display incorrect information. The map level displayed will be off by 1 level for players joining the queue of a private match. Special officers purchased in the past using emblems will get the ability to transport to the Taldua sector block in a future update. So, Excelsior's given bought for energy credits at and dilithium. Since dilithium was added, sector block in the future, they'll get that Taldua transport at a later date. Players may need to reslot their bridge officers and or bridge officer abilities. An issue was resolved that erroneously granted some players an extra bridge officer ability. I understand they had to make it work right, but that was kind of cool to be able to have the the commander officer ability from the commander science in a lieutenant commander science block, because a man, you can do, you know, that much more that a whatever 3 could do. Whatever that science commander could do at level 3 is better than anything he could do at level 1 and 2 sometimes. Police that had projects slotted that were not progressing due to required duty officer input should be progressing once again. There was, in his post where he posted this on the forums, with Brian Fluggs, that is, somebody said, well, hey, what about Box? And he said it should also be Box Club, but let me know if it's not. So this update sounds like it's going to fix a few things. It may, I guarantee it's going to break a few things, because we know this. When they fix some things, they break other things, whether they intend to or not. I don't believe they ever intend to break anything. I think sometimes everything looks good on the test server and on the internal test server when they test it, and then for some reason when it transfers to holodeck, there's something different on holodeck. There's some little piece of code somewhere on holodeck that's made it in, and it's still in there, and no matter what, when they go and they look at the file that they need to look at, and it says, or they put the new file in and it says, okay, ignore previous statement, but realize this statement, or it's supposed to completely replace the entire file. Somehow somewhere in there, the original file is still in there and is overriding the new files until they get in there and figure it out, and it just keeps coming back again and bite them in the butt, because that same file, even though it's changed after they figure it out, for some reason every time they put a new one on, that one just sits there and says, but I'm the master file. I am the master file. Read me, not the new file. Read me, not the new file. So something there says, okay, so this is what this is supposed to do. And the game says, okay, I'm supposed to read this new one, but I'll read you instead because you're pretty convincing. Maybe that's not how that works, but there's something in the holodeck server that messes with the code when it gets transferred from the test server. Because if there wasn't, why would everything we see work pretty well decent with a minor bug on the test server on Tribble, and then when it gets transferred to holodeck, all of a sudden it has multiple major bugs? It just tells me there's some code that's still lingering on holodeck that reads what's written on the Tribble differently. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right. It probably doesn't matter either way, because at some point they fix it and we move on. Except for a few bugs that are still around since the very beginning. But then again, as they say, bugs that absolutely kill the game 100%, or bugs that just kill your immersion and my immersion. If it's something that most people wouldn't notice or wouldn't care about, because they're just here to pew-pew, they don't care anything about Trek, they're not going to notice the bug that kills it for you and me, doesn't kill it for everybody else. If it did, they'd get there and go, ooh, that bug's costing us money, let's fix it. It's costing us more than it'll cost to fix it, so let's fix it. No. Right now it's seen as it costs more to fix that bug than it does just to leave it in. Sadly, money rules and bullshit rules. Or money talks, bullshit walks. However you want to say it. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Tomato, tomato. Potato, potato. Alright, that's it for this week. Really didn't get much done. Winter comes out. If we see it on the test server before it hits holodeck, I'll get a look at this year's holiday. If not, if holiday just happens to already be in game and then gets clicked on on December 12th or December 13th or December 1st or December whatever, then or December 6th, then I'll play it and record it, and we'll show you it, and then as soon as you can get in and get on, you can get on and play it and see what we were talking about, what kind of fun we were having on that. Thank you. Have a very wonderful day.